A major winter storm is on the way for this weekend, so if you're a big fan of a good old-fashioned snowstorm, you're going to like this one across areas in the Midwest. We'll get heavy on the details to start the video with that, and then we'll switch gears, move into next week where we have another winter storm to figure out, and then just to round off the video, we'll speak on the pattern as a whole as we start to move deeper into the month of December. We continue to have movement to more colder and wintry scenarios, so I just want to go over that, give you my take on why things continue to shift, and just kind of nerd out with you guys a little bit because you guys know I love winter weather and just winter in general, which sounds kind of odd because I'm somebody from South Carolina that hardly ever sees it, but I love talking about it and experiencing it when it does rarely happen. So my name is Mitch. A good Friday evening. Hope you guys are doing well out there and have had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So let's take a look at the NAM, and I think this does have a pretty good handle on what this storm could do, and it's verifying pretty well. This is pretty much what the radar looks like right now. So we're going to start this off with a 7 p.m. Central Time, but I know it does show 8 p.m. up here. This is in Eastern Time, so of course if you're in Central, back this up an hour, but the timestamp is up here if you lose me. But let's get this in motion. So we're going to move into the late night hours. This is like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Give or take an hour, okay? Because the precipitation being modeled could be a little slower, a little faster than what actually happens, right? So by about the middle of the night, a lot of snow begins to move into the state of Iowa. Snow starting to move into southern areas of Minnesota. Snow is pretty much overspread all of the Dakotas. We got snow across Nebraska, a wintry mix across southern areas of the state. It's kind of a battle zone across Lincoln, Omaha. It's snowing back here still in Wyoming and Montana. Already snowing in those states tonight. But as we continue to move forward, we're going to take it all the way to about daybreak. We'll stop here. It's around 6 or 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I want you to take a look down here in St. Louis. You see how dark this blue is down here? That is very, very, very heavy, wet snow. And I mean, it is going to be puking snow, I think, tomorrow morning when we wake up in St. Louis with temperatures at like 31, 32 degrees. I mean, these flakes will likely be like the size of cotton balls. I always joke on X saying, you know, flakes the size of bowling balls or minivans. I mean, they are going to be huge if you live anywhere down here tomorrow morning. But I will say there's a good chance a lot of these areas will switch to rain, but we'll continue to move forward. Snowing for the majority of the state of Iowa. This is where we could have a freezing rain sleet mix kind of around Omaha, points south. There's a chance you stay all snow in Omaha, but I do think you'll mix a little bit. Minneapolis, you're kind of right on the northern fringe of the heaviest precipitation. Plenty cold enough. It's just how far north is this heavier moisture going to get? Still snowing across all of the Dakotas at this point. And let's go on and just kind of switch this a little bit more to the east and make sure we get this back in motion. We start to take it to about midday tomorrow. This is around lunchtime. All-out snowstorm beginning to move in Chicago, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Madison. Very, very heavy snow falling here, right here where Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin sort of connect. It's snowing at a moderate to heavy pace all the way up here in Minneapolis. Still snowing back here in Sioux Falls. Looks like the storm is starting to wrap up about midday, early afternoon tomorrow in the state of Nebraska. Snowing pretty hard here, like Kirksville here in northern Missouri. Look how dark that blue is. But you see how St. Louis goes from heavy snow to sort of a cold rain, and I think that likely will happen. And then this is starting to overspread into Indianapolis and could start out some snow in like Louisville and Evansville. And then as we start to get into like dinner time tomorrow, like 6, 7, 8 o'clock, all-out snowstorm ongoing. I mean, this is just about as classic as it gets. You're not going to have any mixing issues in Chicago. I know Chicago has been kind of ripped off lately when you compare, the last several winters, but I think this is just a clear shot snowstorm for you guys, and you're right in the meat of it, right in the heart of it. Peoria, Springfield, do you mix with a little bit of rain? Not sure. I think Peoria stays all snow, but still snowing back here in Minneapolis. Snowing all the way up here in the UP of Michigan. You're on the northern fringe of this storm system. And look, Detroit, this begins to move in tomorrow afternoon, evening. This is overtaking the entire lower Michigan area. Starts off as extremely heavy, wet snow late tomorrow evening in Cleveland. Might not be late tomorrow, maybe around dinner time. Starts out as snow in Columbus, Dayton, Indianapolis, still snowing. On the NAM, it stays all snow in Indianapolis. So I think there's going to be some sort of battleground of rain and snow mix around Indianapolis, points south. Staying all snow up here in Michigan, northern Indiana, Ohio, Cleveland. I mean, this is all snow. I think some of the precipitation begins to lessen up. We'll see if that's true. But we start to get into the middle of the night, for example. Just remember, if you lose me on the timestamp, it's up here. And if you're in Central Time, back this up an hour because this is in Eastern Time. I'm not completely sure how to change it yet. This is kind of a new site I've been using. But look at Southern Ontario. It is snowing like crazy. Toronto. This is going to be a pretty meaty storm for you guys too up here in Canada. And somebody in the comments did say, don't forget about us in Canada. You know, they don't have a great site for graphics like they do in the US, unfortunately, but you guys will get a big time snowstorm out of this. Low pressure, cold air surrounding the low, so there's not any mixing issues anymore, even though you got a low pressure cutting right through. And I do want to mention this. Okay, this is getting into about daybreak tomorrow. I'm sorry, Sunday. This is Sunday morning. You see the pink down here? This is freezing rain. A little bit of purple, that's sleet. But I do think we're going to deal with some icing issues. As far south as like, you know, around the Asheville area, I don't think we'll get a whole lot of ice in Asheville, but the favored cold air damming regions up against the foothills and the higher terrain of the Appalachian Mountains on the eastern side could definitely experience some icing, maybe a few 100ths of an inch, maybe as much as a 1/10 of an inch. And we continue to move this forward, and we get to about midday Sunday, and I think it's just going to be a wintry day across interior New England. Is this going to be an all-out winter storm? I don't think so, but I think that it's going to be an impactful winter weather event. A little bit of lake effect snow as cold air follows behind this low pressure, but I think the I-95 corridor will stay all rain. But it's snowing in Buffalo, Rochester, Burlington. It's just going to be hard for this to be a full all-out winter storm with a low pressure cutting across southern Ontario. But we actually could get some heavy rain late Sunday across Boston, southern New England, and all snow in northern Maine. So just want to kind of give you the full wrap-up of the storm, right? I know I get really deep in the details with that. But let's go over snowfall accumulations, okay? Let's start off west to east. So this is North Dakota. I'm not going to show you Montana or Wyoming because it's kind of a now thing, right? And even in North Dakota and South Dakota it is too. But Bismarck, 3 to 5 inches of snow forecast. Pause the screen if you need to. Dickinson, 1 to 3. We go on down to South Dakota. Pierre, 3 to 4. Aberdeen, 4 to 6. Sioux Falls, 5 to 6. Yankton, 5 to 8 inches of snow. So pretty decent storm in this area, but nothing too crazy, I don't think. It's already snowing in certain areas here in South Dakota right now. We take a look at Nebraska, sort of a tricky state, I would say. Omaha going for around a 1/2 foot, but Lincoln, 2 inches. I mean, that is a pretty wide range, and I really think we're going to have a lot of mixing issues here in the southeastern sections and eastern areas of Nebraska because of this low pressure cutting. But, you know, North Platte, 1 inch of snow. Broken Bow, 2 inches. Valentine, 3 inches. So there is going to be a little bit of ice. Let's show you that if it'll pull up for me. I hope it does, and it will. Awesome. So a little bit of ice. Over a 1/10 of an inch of ice forecast in Grand Island. And we're going to get some ice in the other corner of the state too, and hopefully I can show you that here in a second. But Minneapolis, the latest forecast. Let's update this, see if we've had any changes. I like to always try to do that. And there has been some changes. They've actually made the lower end a little bit lower. So going for anywhere from 2 to as much as 8 inches of snow in Minneapolis. So they've actually brought in the range here. And Rochester, 7 to 13. Worthington, just trying to mention some areas, 7 to 10 inches of snow. The southern areas of the state still looks good for about a 1/2 foot to as much as a foot of snow. The big area here is Iowa. This is definitely a jackpot highlighted state. Des Moines now 10 to Des Moines. I don't want to say Des Moines without leaving out the end. Some people have corrected me on that. Des Moines, 10 to 16 inches of snow. Fort Dodge, 11 to 16. Mason City, 10 to 14. Dubuque, 10 to 14 inches of snow. Davenport, 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow is forecast. A little bit of ice is possible. I do want to show you that in the far corner of the state. Lincoln could get, you know, over a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Just a few 100ths of an inch, enough to just make a little thin glaze out here. Honestly, just enough to make things look pretty, to be honest with you. But we'll have to watch. But Memphis, not Tennessee, Memphis, Missouri, 4 to 11 inches of snow. Kirkville, which doesn't show in this area, probably a little bit less than that. Quincy, 3 to 8. St. Louis, let's update this graphic, see if we got a new one. St. Louis, and we do. 1 to 4 inches of snow is forecast. And listen, I'm highly interested in not just St. Louis itself, but this entire area right here. I could get 4 inches of snow fast. Let's break down a sounding, geek out with you guys a little bit in the St. Louis area. So this is for around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So by the time I'm doing a video tomorrow morning, it's already going to be ongoing, right? So you see the blue, that is heavy, heavy snow. I want to click a sounding around the St. Louis area. Let's try to nerd out with you guys a little bit and at the same time explain things where you as the audience can understand. This is a sounding. You see that 31 in red? That is the surface temperature. So literally where you are standing, that is the temperature. It should be around that, give or take a degree. In St. Louis tomorrow, 31 degrees. You see the 29 in green? That is the dew point. So you got a surface temperature of 31 degrees and a dew point of around 29, 30 degrees. Now, you see how the green line goes up? That is the dew point in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So the more this climbs, the higher up in the atmosphere you get. You see that 500? That's 500 millibars. That's about 18,000 feet up in the air. And then you see the red, which is actually underlapped or under the green line. You see how they're riding right up against each other? Okay, so that means that we have a very moist profile because when you have dew points right up against the temperature, I always say riding the rear end of the temperature, you have a very moist air mass outside. That's how you get fog, guys. Say it's 60 degrees and the dew point is like 59.8. You're probably going to wake up to fog. And the atmosphere is just super saturated. And that is the case. So if you look at this blue line here, this one right here, that is the 32 degree line starting at the surface and going aloft. So if you notice, the actual surface temperature does not nudge above that 32 degree line. It stays below it for the entirety of the entire environment going up in the upper levels of the environment. So what I'm trying to say here is it's 31 degrees at the surface, plenty cold enough for snow, and above the surface is below 32 degrees. There's no warm nose of air aloft. So it's not going to snow, and then the snowflake melt, then not have enough time to refreeze. It's cold aloft for snow. And then you have a dew point riding the rear end of the temperature. So you have a super saturated platform. We call it a saturated column. So to wrap all that up, it is going to snow like crazy because all the moisture in the atmosphere is available in the atmosphere because it's saturated. Okay, so all the moisture is going to be snowflakes, and some of those moisture droplets which are going to be snow, are going to kind of group together. So we're going to have huge snowflakes in St. Louis tomorrow. And I really hope you guys tag me in some videos and some pictures of that. I'm going to be jealous, but excited to see if this verifies because I've been honking the horn at this. So if it does not verify, y'all going to have to pie me in the face. But Wisconsin, they bumped it up to 8 to 12 inches of snow in Green Bay. Man, check that out. And really just the northern areas of Wisconsin, good for around 4 to 6 inches of snow, but you get south of Green Bay, that's when the hefty totals begin to show up. And right here where Iowa, Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin connect, big snowstorm on the way. Eau Claire 4 to 8, so we're on the lighter end. You head down Interstate 94 where it meets 39, big time snow. Half a foot to as much as a foot and a half of snow. Madison, 9 to 14 inches of snow. Some of these totals aren't going to always match up. But for example, this one says 9 to 18 inches of snow in Madison. And let's see if there's a new graphic because this was updated like 10/17. There is. Wow, and I'm glad I updated. Look at that. They have bumped up the totals in this area. Watertown now 12 to 21 inches of snow. Milwaukee 11 to 21 inches of snow. I told you somebody could get 2 feet of snow in this area. Man, they're going for big time totals in this area. Janesville 11 to 22 inches of snow. So they bumped up the snow totals. I'm glad I updated that. What about Chicago? Please tell me y'all got a new update. Y'all do not. Chicago kills me, guys, with their updates. I can't stand their site. I'm not trying to diss on them or anything like that. And I know I have people in the comments, Mitch, you can toggle through all these things. But just still stinks. They're going for 6 to 8 inches of snow in Chicago. I think that's a good forecast. I think they're staying conservative, though. Because I think you guys have chewed them out enough in the Chicagoland area for never getting it right. So I don't blame them for staying conservative, honestly. Rockford, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Man, y'all ought to read my TikTok comments. They are brutal in the state of Illinois. Pontiac, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Aora, 8 to 12. Juliet, 8 to 12 inches of snow. We'll see what happens there. I want to see if they bump them up when we wake up tomorrow morning. But moving into the central areas of Illinois, Peoria, and let's update this because this is 10:15. Come on. Yes, we got a new update. Awesome. 11 to 17 inches of snow in Peoria. Bloomington, 9 to 14. Galesburg, 12 to 20 inches of snow. Springfield, 5 to 10. Quincy, 4 to 6 inches of snow. Champaign, 7 to 12. Yeah, a lot. Let's update this graphic. That was 10:15. What we got? Awesome. New graphics. So we're getting new graphics as we go. Sorry, I keep having to switch up the screen. Mount Vernon, 1/2 inch. 3 inches of snow, but you get south of that, not a whole lot is forecast. And then we bump it up here, and let's update this too. Might as well just update them all because we keep getting updates. Look, 5:15 now. Y'all are getting fresh fresh information here. Gaylord, 8 to 15 inches of snow. Newberry, 5 to 10. Traverse City, 7 to 14 inches of snow. Ooh, y'all rocking and rolling with the snow. There's already a lot on the ground in this area. And this is pretty much already a new graphic. I will update this just in case, but we pretty much, yeah, this is the updated graphic. 6 to 8 inches of snow in Detroit. Steve, you're going to be reeling it in, man. Grand Rapids, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Kalamazoo, 8 to 12 little pockets south of Kalamazoo that can get well over a foot. So, yeah, a lot on the way, guys. And this is northern Indiana. Let's update this too. Y'all done got me wanting to update all of them now, and there's no update with this. So, northern Indiana, half a foot to as much as a foot and a half of snow forecast in this area. And then Indianapolis. Now, I would love to have a new update in this area, and we do. Awesome. 5:15, fresh. Going from 1 to 5 in Indianapolis. Like, I just showed you the NAM when I broke down the entire storm, right? It kept it all snow in Indianapolis. So I would aim towards the higher end if it stays all snow. But Lafayette, back up to 6 to 10 inches of snow. Marion, 4 to 7 inches. Crawfordsville, 5 to 10. This is kind of a battle zone area. If y'all do hear a yapping dog in the background, we're babysitting our mother-in-law's dog, and it's just one of those small dogs, and it's not used to other animals. And you guys know I have a farm of animals in my house. I got like 4 cats, 2 dogs, and that dog just does not know how to deal with other animals. So yeah, if you're in the background, that's what it is. Very cute and lovable dog, though. Anyways, enough about dogs. You know, I like to get sidetracked. Latest graphic from northern Kentucky. Not much, but listen, if you live in Evansville, Owensboro, up to Louisville, up to Cincinnati, I'm going to show you some love. Somebody could sneak and get an inch of snow. It just depends on how this starts. Now, we do look at Ohio. Give me a new graphic, Ohio. We got one, too. Man, we are killing it with these new graphics. Defiance, 6 inches of snow. Toledo, 5 inches. Detroit, 3. And this is probably mixing maybe a little bit of the lake effect snow still up here near Lake Erie. But Columbus going for a solid inch of snow. We'll see what happens with that. And with the latest from West Virginia, we'll update this. West Virginia, you could get a wintry mix in those favored areas in the highlands, but I'm not expecting a whole lot. And I will take a look at, say, the ice graphic. A few 1/100ths of an inch of ice is possible in the highlands. So just be aware of that. Just a brief wintry mix. And we take a look at the Pittsburgh area. I'm sure we got a new graphic because we are on a roll. Trace in Pittsburgh. Listen, Pittsburgh's one of those other cities that just gets ripped off every winter. And I feel you. I've been doing this for a long enough time to know which cities that just kind of gets ripped off. And Pittsburgh is one. If you're a winter weather fan, I know it's got to be frustrating. I don't know. I think it's a combination of a couple things. But if you live in Pittsburgh, definitely put your take on what you think it is, because Charleston, West Virginia is another one that just kind of gets ripped off with these storms. But I think this one is just because the low pressure is cutting to the north. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry with that. But the latest from PA. I think the north and northwestern areas of the state could get a few inches of snow, but this is also combining a little bit of that lake effect snow still ongoing. And then we take a look at New York State. We're just getting updates after updates. 8 inches of snow from Syracuse, but this is really for what's going on right now too. And just, this shows Vermont, New Hampshire. This is not a huge event moving in. You've had, lake effect stuff ongoing. Just a few inches here and there. You're going to be dealing with a lot of warm air because the low pressure is going to be cutting to your north. So, you're not going to get a whole lot from this storm on the way as we get into early next week. But Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, this is what you're looking at. This is going to be a higher elevation thing, but I will, show you Maine here. And this is what you're looking at. A few inches of snow is on the way. Let's get you an update, see what we got here in Maine. And we do. So we're going to get a few inches of wet snow up here for Maine. So I do want to wrap it up by just kind of showing you guys who has winter storm warnings, who has winter weather advisories, etc. And not a whole lot's changed with that. We did get an upgrade to a winter storm warning in Indianapolis. I do want to note that. Still just got winter weather advisories in St. Louis. Things could change in this area fast, guys. I'm telling you. You get north of St. Louis, Springfield, winter storm warnings. Chicago, same thing. And Omaha, you got winter storm warnings now. But Lincoln, just winter weather advisories. And I'm very surprised they only have winter weather advisories in Detroit. But we'll see if that changes. Toledo, winter storm warnings, though. This area could change. I think they're just waiting on confidence to kind of upgrade. But nothing yet for these areas except the lake effect snow warnings ongoing right now. All right, let's just go on and get me a sip of Gatorade here. Man, You got to pace yourself. All right. What about this next winter storm for next week? I do want to start off in the southern plains. We're going to start off with Monday morning. We got some light to moderate snow breaking out across areas of the plains. I think that this could potentially be, flying around some pretty cold temperatures, so it definitely could accumulate. But as we move forward here and we start to move into Monday afternoon, then we just got to watch for a band of light to moderate snow moving across areas of Kansas, northern Missouri. I think this will be all rain down here in the green. And as we move forward, there could be a connection between some southern and northern stream energy. So you see there is, and let's back it up a little bit. This is the middle of the night, Monday night into Tuesday, December 1st into the 2nd, early next week. And we do have a wintry mix across areas of northern Arkansas and just all snow up here in Missouri, but it doesn't look very heavy. So if you're in the Ozarks, you're in northern areas of Arkansas and southern Missouri, I do think we can get a wintry mix overnight, Monday into Tuesday morning. And then this kind of clears out and we're done. Now we look at the eastern U.S. This turns into a much more stronger storm system, but it's highly amped. A lot of moisture, but it's cutting. So, we start to, let's back it up a little bit. This is Tuesday morning. This is all rain in the green. This is a wintry mix of freezing rain and sleet breaking out, mainly freezing rain in the pink, across the favorite areas of North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. A little bit more of a wintry mix of things here once we get further north into West Virginia and Virginia. This is all snow. And it is snowing in areas like north of Nashville, maybe Dyersburg, Clarksville, I think is what I meant to say, and even snowing in western and central areas of Kentucky. This is lighter stuff up here. If this thing does trend further north, then you guys are going to get another winter storm in the Ohio Valley and areas in the Midwest. So we got to watch the trend. So we started getting to about Tuesday afternoon, and it snows. I mean, it's cold enough for all snow in like areas of Cincinnati, Louisville, places like that, even Lexington, Kentucky. This is heavy snow in the northern half of West Virginia. This is more of a favorable track for Pittsburgh, for example. But there's not a lot of heavy stuff getting to you. But this would be a band of moderate snow. 999, so we're getting to sub 1,000 now as far as the low pressure off the coast of the eastern U.S. All rain for the Carolinas. But this thing really gets juiced up as we start to move into this area. And let's go on and just get a little bit closer here to the northeast. All right, let's back it up a little bit. This is Tuesday midday, and this is like Tuesday evening of next week. That's a 989 low. So pretty strong low pressure, nothing really locking you in to turn it into a nor'easter. But the I-95 corridor, like DC, are all rain. Baltimore probably all rain, but it's very close. You got that snow line right up the road, like in, just right up the road here in southeastern areas of PA and central and western areas of Maryland. And then northern New Jersey, it's all snow. But New York City itself, this is cold rain. Same thing with Long Island, central and southern, and areas of New Jersey and Delaware. And then look at southern New England. That is heavy, heavy, wet snow. And it looks like if the Euro is what exactly happens, and we have trended a little bit warmer with this, it's mainly just a slop fest in Boston, and majority of it should be rain. But whoever gets on that just enough cold side could get heavy, wet snow. And this could turn into a major winter storm for certain areas if it trends a little bit further north into more cold air. But of course, the further northwest it trends, the more this low pressure is going to bring a lot of warm air into the picture, and it's going to cut off any kind of significant snowfall totals for that I-95 corridor, which right now looks to mainly be rain. And then it heads off, and we got to watch Atlantic Canada, which I want to show some love to you guys too. And we're going to pull this up here on the fly, if I can do it on the fly without getting kind of messed up here. And yeah, I mean, look at Nova Scotia, look at New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. This could turn into a major winter storm for you guys until Wednesday. So we'll certainly watch out for you guys too. And I do want to show you some love for the GFS too. Now, it's more of a heavier winter weather event for, say, Missouri, and even shows some appreciable ice totals showing up here, or at least it shows a lot of freezing rain for northern Arkansas. But it is much further north, so it gets snow all the way up to like Chicago. I mean, Milwaukee, again, snow falling on top of snow that's about to be laid on the ground from this winter storm on the way. And it's just more of a beefed up winter storm. All right, low pressure much closer to the mid-Atlantic coastline. And this is just a significant winter storm for the interior northeast, but it would be all rain from DC all the way up to Boston. Heck, it would even rain along the main coastline with this. So this is going to be a winter storm. It's probably not going to be the winter storm for that I-95 corridor that a lot of people are probably looking for if you're along the I-95 corridor. Now, what about the snow signal from this? It has continued to grow across the Central Plains and areas in the Midwest. So now we're seeing the blue show up. So now this is in 24-hour periods, by the way. That's why you see it appear and then disappear. But now even across, like Kansas City, which is not going to get much from this winter storm on the way, could get maybe 2 inches of snow from this if the Euro ensemble is correct. A little bit of a signal as far south as northern Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, but it's really into Kansas and Missouri where we could get a couple inches of wet snow. Maybe more. This could trend to more because it has trended a little bit more aggressive with this. Now, this is where it is a lot more aggressive. As we start to get into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, this is another winter weather event on the way. It's a signal right here for an inch or two of snow, and this will be falling on top of snow already on the ground, like I said, from the winter storm on the way right now. And then the signal increases for areas of like northern Kentucky, southern Indiana, the southern half of Ohio. You got this 2 to 3 inch snowfall average across this area. Northern West Virginia, a couple inch snowfall mean. And then we look at the Northeast. Here it comes, and it really beefs up. There's still a pretty decent signal in Boston for a few inches of snow, but it's really a southern New England type deal here where over a half a foot snowfall mean is starting to show up. Northern New Jersey, PA, even northern Virginia, areas of Maryland. That's a pretty solid signal, especially right in here for a pretty decent in strength winter storm that's about to move in. I think it's worth mentioning the ice threat with this too. Now, this is combining a little bit of ice we could get from this winter storm on the way for this weekend and early next week. But a lot of this is for what could happen mid to late next week. We could have some significant icing across areas of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, even into Western Maryland and PA. So I think some areas could get a 1/4 inch of freezing rain from this. We got to figure it out. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the pattern coming up. I want to start off by showing you guys the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This runs from the 4th through the 8th. If you live in those blue areas, that's where they're leaning towards below average temperatures. And if you know, you know, meaning if you tuned into the videos prior to this, I told you guys I thought that the last graphic I showed you, I think it was yesterday, I thought it was bogus. And sure enough, they have brought those bluer colors further south. And so now in that time frame, they're leaning towards below average temperatures, but the confidence is much higher in this dark blue area where you're pretty much a lock for below average temperatures for the foreseeable future, maybe the entirety of December, I'll be honest. But it's trended colder. And then you look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, it remains the same. Confidence not as high, obviously, because it's further out, but the 6 to 12, well, this is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, runs to the 6th through the 12th of December. Leaning towards below average temperatures as far south as South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. So we've continued to have changes with this. You mix that with the chances at above average precipitation across the majority of the country. And then this is the 8 to 14 day outlook, leaning towards above average precipitation. So things are changing from the experts at the Climate Prediction Center. Not saying they never saw what we've been seeing, but they're definitely starting to honk their horn at it a lot more. So just to kind of geek out with you a little bit, the blue and the greens is lower pressure. And it's a trough. It brings cold air down, and it also shows us where a storm system could be. The orange, the reds, and stuff like that, that is a ridge. Typically brings above average temperatures. So we got a ridge popping off into Alaska. This is, pumping us, continuously giving us a cold air supply because it's dislodging this cold air dome right here over Canada and the higher latitudes. So this right here, this kind of notch of blue right here, this is our storm system for this weekend. Okay? And this is our cold air source putting in cold air into this lower pressure, which is our storm system. So this is why this is a significant winter storm. We continue to move past this. Okay? Cold air source remains in place right here. Right? And this is getting into next week. And then we have this other indention of this lower pressure. That is our next storm system about to swing in. Then we got this cold air source right here, but it's not diving very deep. Okay, so that means that our low pressure is probably going to cut. All right, Not exactly like I just drew that curving arrow, but you get the point. So this is going to provide just enough cold air for our lower pressure here. Okay, cold air feed, but it's just not diving the cold air aggressively enough to really suppress this and provide enough cold air for, say, the I-95 corridor further south. So we continue to move forward after that. Maybe a little bit of a ridge flex. And then our cold air dome, as we're getting into late next week, here's the time frame up here, begins to crash south. And all of a sudden we have this deep diving trough that goes, pretty much covers the entire eastern half of the country. And this could bring an aggressive shot of cold air. It kind of funnels in behind this trough. So this is a signal for cold air across the eastern U.S. How cold? Not sure. Is there going to be some sort of storm system? Not quite sure. We got all that to figure out. This could just be a cold and dry pattern, but I think we could have another storm system in this pattern right here. We're already popping this positive PNA up. We got a positive EPO up here, meaning troughing in Alaska. It's colder in Alaska, so it's a little bit of an odd setup, but you see this up here? This is a negative NAO. It's blocking where we like to see it. This helps lock in a colder pattern to the south. So we're starting to see those higher heights over at Greenland. And then we continue, guys, and this is what really has my attention. As we continue to move forward, this trough continues to stay anchored over the eastern half of the country. And I think this is because we're getting blocking starting to show up, starting to be signaled here in Greenland once again. So this is anchoring in a trough. So this big blue area continues to be a cold air supply and the potential for a storm. Now we got a ridge popping off in over the western U.S. Energy can dive down here, meet up with some cold air. A lot can happen. And this is getting all the way into like 10, 12 days into December. And the look just continues all the way to the end of the run. I mean, that is a classic look. I mean, look at that. It's wild stuff. The changes we have seen on model guidance has been nothing short of just wild. Insane. In a response on the Euro ensemble to all that shifting, this is starting off next Wednesday. The blues and the greens are below average temperatures. I mean, check it out. It just reinforces itself. Might warm up a couple days next weekend, and then it gets cold again. And then we get into the 8th, and then we get into the 9th, the 10th, all the way out to the 12th. It just stays colder than average across the eastern U.S. through the first half of December. Isn't that a wild shift that we've seen this week? I mean, this time last weekend, it honestly didn't look that great, if I'm being real with you. So are we seeing any storm systems after this week? After next week's storm system? Well, we got a little clipper right there and maybe some energy diving down with this next cold shot next weekend. But, you know, any of this is just a crapshoot. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. It does show a pretty powerful winter storm at the very end, which I'm pulling for because I go to Gatlinburg. The 10th through the 14th, I've told you about that. So, man, that would be a dream come true to get a snowstorm in the mountains. But you see snow all the way into North Carolina. So, and, you know, lastly, guys, this is the MJO progression. The reason we are seeing, and I'm just going to say it, the reason we are seeing such significant shifts in model guidance is because model guidance is latching on to what the MJO progression is showing, which is a faster push into phase 8. Right now, we are in phase 7. Okay, phase 7. And let's use black. Phase 7. Okay, what is it, the 28th? All right, 28th is right here. 27 was yesterday. 29 is tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be right in here. We're fully into phase 7. We just left phase 6. That one is December the 1st. It shows us getting to phase 8 now, which is the glory phase. We need to get into phase 8, 1 and 2 if you're a winter weather fan. Okay, phase 6, 5, and 4 are warm phases. Okay, we just left all that. We're into phase 7, which is a transitional period from a not favorable pattern for winter weather and cold to a more favorable pattern. So we're leaving phase 7, about to get into phase 8, and we're getting there fast now. There's no tangle up in this area that we were seeing a couple days ago anymore. So we are fully getting to phase 8 now, and we are just hanging out there, just pitching a tent, just chilling for weeks in the month of December. So that is why, in my opinion, why we are seeing such a big adjustment on model guidance, and I think we continue to see it. Now, there is a chance that we kind of pivot back into phase 7 or just kind of cruise right through what we call the circle of death in this area, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So, man, we continue to see wild stuff. That's all I got, guys. Ooh, appreciate all the support lately. It's been awesome. The video last night did very well. Video this morning did pretty good. So it's cool to see the videos getting out there. But I'm excited. Exciting times to come. And these videos are going to be very long. They won't be as long once we get past this winter storm this weekend. But I just think that it is just full steam ahead, guys. God bless. Have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.